Hello, Jay. Thank you for tuning in. I am doing well. I hope you are. Good to hear. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. We'll give it just a few more seconds for others to join the live. We will see how this goes. The last couple of lives have been interrupted by YouTube employees or government officials. So we'll see how this one goes. Hello, Kelly. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hola, baby boo. Hope you're doing well. Angel, I am giving it, first of all, I'm giving time for others to join the live. Okay. And thank you. Yes, I am, baby boo. Thank you. Okay. But as you can see from the title, Angel, okay, this is the real psychic investigators, and we deal with psychic investigations. Okay. So you can stay or go. It's up to you. Yeah. Baby boo is correct. That is exactly what I'm doing. Okay. With these crystals. Okay. Okay. Baby boo, let's go ahead and get them out of the room. Okay. So, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Nehru. I am an extraterrestrial earth angel, a light worker, Gaia beacon, born on the 333rd day of the year, 11/29/74. That does break down to 11/11/11, and I am a master teacher. That is the purpose for which I am here, this 10th and final reincarnation into the 3D. So before we get started, and I don't know if we're going to pull energy, I really feel like I think I just want to take your questions, answer some things, help you through your spiritual journey today. I think I just perhaps want to do that. And so if you have questions and things like that along for your spiritual journey, I prefer these questions be questions about how do you ascend, how do you clear out, how do you, right? remove blockages. How do you become your best self? How do you get out of karmic energy? How do you get out of the 3D matrix? I prefer they be questions along those lines rather than, is my mother my mother? Where is my son? I would prefer, when will I get my inheritance? I prefer you not ask questions like that, because those are questions for Most High and your ancestors to deliver to you. Those are not questions for me to answer, okay, for you. Those are questions and things that you need to discover as you consciously embrace your spiritual journey. So before we get into it, again, the last two lives have been blocked by government officials or YouTube employees, and that sort of thing. It is highly I see I see the views going down already. So it is highly unusual for any of my lives to have less than 300 views. That is highly unlikely and unusual. So yeah, all right. Or for there to be less than 30 people in the room, that's highly unusual. Okay. And again, those are government conspiracies and things that are done in the background, okay, to keep creators' views down. And again, YouTube is responsible for that, as well as government agencies, and not just in the US, but government agencies all around the world, okay? So I just got done doing an egg cleanse, and I want to show you the results of these egg cleanses, okay? And for those of you tuning in, please, I encourage you to comment in the chat. That is one way that I know that you are hearing me, you are seeing me, you are receiving the information and the words that I am saying. Okay. So if you could please comment as often as you would like to. Again, because of the blockages recently on the channel, that lets me know that the live is still being seen, it is still being heard. Okay. And so, and now we're down to 8 views in the room again. That is highly unlikely, highly unusual for this channel. But I did an egg cleanse just a few minutes ago, and I want to show you the results of this egg cleanse. Okay? And I looked up the results of this egg cleanse, and I'm going to read the results to you. So here is the glass, okay, for the egg cleanse that I have done. And what happened in this egg cleanse was when I cracked the egg open and released the egg yolk and the egg white into the egg, okay, the egg yolk broke apart and practically completely dissolved into the water, okay? And as you can see, you can't even tell that there is no egg yolk, okay? It's like completely dissolved, okay, in this egg cleanse. So I'm going to flush that down the toilet here in a moment. But I want to read to you the results of what that particular result from that egg cleanse means, okay? If an egg cleanse, a yolk that is completely broken, dissolved, or mixed in the water um, happens, it signifies the egg has absorbed a significant amount of negative energy, intense stress, or emotional blockage, okay? High levels of negativity, broken or dissolved, cloudy mixture. I'm going to hold this up while I say this, while I read this. Cloudy mixture suggests that the egg has taken on a lot of heavy energy, requiring you to feel drained or overwhelmed. I feel neither drained nor overwhelmed. Emotional or spiritual blockage. This often indicates emotional blockage or mental exhaustion that has been cleared from your aura. Released energy. Some practitioners interpret this as breaking the chains of a difficult situation or releasing negative energy that was tightly bound to you. Okay? If the yoke breaks immediately, and it did, okay, if the yoke breaks immediately upon hitting the water, it means that the negative energy was very strong, requiring another cleansing to fully clear your path. Okay? So, hello, Sean. Sean. Uh, Whoever you are, okay, that's saying be careful, okay, about the negative energy in the glass, okay? I am an ascended master. I am very well aware of what I'm doing. Okay. I don't need your instructions. Thank you very much. Okay. I don't need your instructions. Thank you very much. You do your egg cleanses and you handle those things the way you handle them, and I'll do it the way that I do it. Okay. Deal? Excellent. Okay. And again, hello, Sean. Sean. Okay. At this time, what I would like to do is, again, I would like to take your questions. These questions should pertain to how do you cleanse your energy? Hello, Justice League. Shout out to you. These questions should pertain to how do you cleanse your energy? I don't know. How do you better care for yourself physically, spiritually, okay? And not things about your journey, marriages, okay? Unless it's about how to break karmic ties to a marriage or to a union, okay? And while you're thinking on your questions and considering, contemplating what you're going to ask, I will share this in regards to marriages, okay? Anyone, okay? Anyone, and this is what Most High told me years ago. I was still a part of the religious system when Divine told me this. Most High said, anyone, anyone that you have had consensual intercourse with is a spiritual bride or groom to you. Okay? So there is a need to clear out not just karmic twin flames, okay? Not just the lovers who obviously mistreated you, okay? But every person, being that you have had intimate relationships with and it was consenting. I hope it was for all of you, okay? In every situation, right? But so for many of you, there's 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, different spiritual marriages that you have to break, okay? Linkages, I'm getting linkages, okay? So every romantic relationship that you have had where you were giving them your sacral energy, they were giving you their sacral energy, every last one of those represents a spiritual marriage. And you have to break those linkages. Okay? If you want a divine partner, if you feel as though someone's still taking your sacral energy, doing witchcraft on your sacral or what have you. And that includes your root. Okay? So, all right. Um, so yeah. Any questions, anyone? Okay, again, the last couple of lives we've been dealing with some type of blockages through YouTube, government agencies, or what have you. So those last two lives were interrupted. Okay. Again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Okay. Um, I'm open to your questions at this time. Thank you so much for your likes and your love, everyone. What questions do you have? Mm. It was interesting, baby boo. The first live lasted 16 minutes, okay, before it was completely blacked out, okay, completely blacked out, okay. Brittany, Brittany, you were, unless that's a different, oh, that might be a different Brittany. Oh, um, root chakra blockages, baby boo, okay. Your root chakra is located at your tailbone, okay? Your root chakra is located at your tailbone. That is where your spiritual root system starts, okay? That is where your spiritual root system starts, okay? That is where the energetic flow, frequency flow, okay, starts. That's where your kundalini energy starts. That's where the Christos, that is the Christ spirit that flows up and down your vertebrae, and the kundalini that flows up and down your vertebrae both flow up and down your vertebrae. That is where those originate, okay? That is where those are grounded, okay? Correct, Brittany. So we'll see how this live goes. I see that there are 17 in the room and 13 likes, it looks like. What do you mean? What are they doing with it? What do you mean? What are they doing with it? What are they doing with the root chakra? I don't know, baby boo. I'm just giving clearing advice on how to clear blockages from your root chakra. I'm not sure I understand your question. What are they doing with it? Uh, Keeping you bound, okay? Preventing you from being grounded, preventing you from being in the flow, okay? Your Christos and Kundalini energy, okay? And the Kundalini energy is related to the sacral energy, your creativity. The Kundalini energy is related to your sacral. So I'm not sure I understand what are they doing with it. I'm not sure I understand that, but yeah, okay. Also, I've been in communication with, hello, Christine. I've been in communication with someone who showed me that they had been their channel had been hacked. Okay, they have a YouTube channel. Okay, and they are a spirit guide. Okay, and truth speaker here on YouTube, and someone hacked into their account and they came into this live. Okay, into live three lives ago. Okay, something about 3 lives ago, lives ago, 3 reincarnations ago, and and oh, okay, 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 okay. All right, so yeah, so definitely, baby boo, you need to definitely do that that chakra clearing work. And again, all I do is I place crystals at the tailbone. Okay, that's what I do. Okay, and I imagine the negative energy being pulled out. Same thing with an egg cleanse. Okay, I take the negative energy and I imagine, okay, as I am rubbing this egg, okay, all over the physical body, I Imagine the energy being taken in by this egg, okay? And again, for those of you who did not see, I did an egg cleanse before we came on, and this is the result. So we read a moment ago, okay, the results and what this means, okay? This is heavy energy, heavy negative energy being removed, heavy blockages being removed. The egg yolk completely dissolved into the water as soon as it hit the water, okay? So this speaks to spiritual chains being broken, spiritual chains being broken, okay? So these are the results of my most recent egg cleanse, okay? Um, Micah, okay? Sean, okay? Micah, Mica, and black tourmaline, okay? Black tourmaline. You're welcome, okay? I do egg cleanses multiple times a week, okay? I do egg cleanses multiple times a week. That is the most significant result or the strongest result that I've had thus far, okay? I've seen images in the egg cleanse results and things like that. But to my remembrance, I've never had an egg cleanse where, since spiritually awakening, I've never had an egg cleanse where the egg yolk completely dissolved as soon as it hit the water. So, yeah. All right. Um, so, yes, baby boo. Okay. The anxiety that you're feeling, okay, is because of the root chakra blockages. That is, the anxiety that you are feeling is because of the root chakra blockages. Okay. All right. And again, your questions, where I am taking questions, your questions can be about physical health, how to care for the physical body. Okay. I am not a doctor. Okay. And so the advice that I give is spiritual advice. Okay. Even though it pertains to the physical body, I am a kidney transplant recipient. I left the hospital with 17 pills. Okay. And an anti-fungus gargle. Okay. On 7/7/17, I received that kidney transplant. And today I take no medications, no anti-rejection meds, which you are supposed to take for the rest of your natural life after receiving a kidney transplant. I take no medications today. I take nothing from man today. Nothing over the counter, nothing prescribed, no nothing. And I haven't for 2 years, more than 2 years now. Okay. My last VA visit, okay, military veteran, my last VA visit was December of 2023. 2023 was my last VA visit, okay? So I do not take anything, okay? I carry 3 kidneys in this physical body today, 3 kidneys, both native kidneys and the transplanted kidney. I carry 3 blood filters in this physical body today. Okay. So yeah, feel free to ask your questions, whatever those are. Appreciate so many of the regulars tuning in. Justice League, Baby Boo, Christine, Sean. Okay, I appreciate so many of you who tune in on a regular basis. Thank you so much. Oh yeah, my pleasure. It's what I'm here for as a Master Builder 33. It's what I'm here for. Yeah, likewise, Sean. Always. Yeah, likewise. It is said that once you stop learning, you start dying. It is said that once you stop learning, you start dying. Yeah, that's a good question, baby. I've wondered that myself, okay, about my own journey, and the collective overall, the high vibrational beings. Uh, yeah, I've wondered I've wondered that, from time to time, and I have not had a clear answer. What I do know is that divine source also has to deal with 3D processes. And the legal system on this planet is just that, it's a legal system. And so there's red tape, there's waiting, there's processes, Spiritually, things can be instantaneous. But in the 3D, unfortunately, that is rarely the case. Okay. Because the judge has to sign off on this, that has to get investigated, that has to be looked into. They have to look into you, they have to look into me to make sure that we are not whoever said we are. They have to go through all of those things, the investigations, forensics have to be done, and all that sort of thing. And so it's a legal process. There is no justice system on this earth, although there is justice from time to time. The processes here are not justice, and any buildings that have justice of the peace needs to be replaced, okay? Because they're not justice, okay? They are legal systems. Like what's the purpose of this? Why don't we all come together? Oh, that is what we're in the process of doing, baby boo. And at one point in time, before the flood, and separation of continents, or separation of land into continents, the land mass was one big land mass. Okay, there was no Atlantic Ocean. There was no. It was one big land mass, and so because of distance, physical distance, and things like that, these things are necessary. I don't know if my process would be further along in the 3D if I was still in the United States and not in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. I don't know if my physical process, as far as the justice for me, would be further along or not. I do know that the karmic attacks would be heavier, okay, and the gang stalking and that. So I'm happy to be where I am today, even though that is not, even though I am not physically on the land where the investigation is going on for my journey, and justice is about to be served, okay, for my journey. Okay, so there are a lot of gaps, okay, between the physical and the spiritual. There are a lot of gaps, okay, that you and I are meant to fill, but that's happening. Okay, we are coming together just like we are in this collective. We are coming together. Okay, first the spiritual, then the natural. I just heard first the spiritual, then the natural. Okay, so first we come into alignment, then we start receiving soul tribe members into our journey, into our heart, into our lives, and then exactly, and then the physical shows up. The 3D is the last, okay, step. The physical is the third step. The 3D is the third step. Okay. So first the spiritual, then the natural. And yeah, yeah. So yeah, very good questions. Very good questions. Any others? Again, I don't know if we'll get into the cards. I don't know if that's the direction that Divine wants me to go. I don't see that at this time. All right, divine just wants me to listen to you, okay, and take your inquiries. As always, I hope everyone's doing well wherever they're tuning in from. Hello, your favorite show. Thank you so much for tuning in from the Midwest of the United States of America. Okay, the Midwest. I see 14 in the room and 19 likes. Thank you so much, everyone, for the love. It is currently 6:30 in the morning. 6:30 in the morning here in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. 6:30 in the morning. Exactly 6:30. Okay. Uh, when you speak of when you speak of unblocking yourself, Jay, when you speak of unblocking yourself, can you expound on that? What do you mean blocking? What do you mean unblocking yourself? What do you mean? What do you mean? You mean reconnecting to people from your past? What do you mean from unblocking? Just waiting on Jay's reply to explain what they mean by unblocking. Okay, just waiting on them. Anyone else can ask questions. Okay, of me. You can ask questions about me. You can ask questions about my journey. Okay. Okay. Maybe Jay won't answer. I'm not sure. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe Jay won't answer. Maybe Jay needs to get blocked. Okay. I'm not sure. Angel, where are you located? Oh, okay, Jay. Angel, where are you located? It can't be 6:30 a.m. in Richmond, Virginia. That's a lie. It can't be. It can't be 6:30 in the morning in Richmond, Virginia. That's a lie. Okay? It can't be. Okay? Just saying. It can't be 6 a.m. Yeah. It can't be 6 a.m. in Richmond, Virginia. It cannot be. Okay? Because it's 6:30 here in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. Okay? Just a bunch of bullshit, just like it can't be 6 a.m. where you are, Angel. Okay? Oh, I already said that. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay. So, Jay, I see you never answered the question. I can, Christine. Thank you for checking. Okay. Oh, did you already ask it? If you already asked it, then Christina, I did not see it. Uh, oh, sorry about that, baby. Okay. So, not a question. There is a heavy military presence in the Middle East. Oh, okay. Okay. I did not know that. Okay. And that's not unusual. Obviously, um, there's been Operation Desert Storm. Okay. Operation Iraqi Freedom. Okay. So it's not anything strange about there being a heavy military presence in the Middle East. That's been for centuries. Okay. Those are some of the original lands, and so they've been fighting for eons. Okay, Iraq and Iran were some of the original lands. Okay, some of the original grounds that the first men and women, first beings created, walked on. Okay, baby boo, I'm gonna send you an email. Okay, I'm gonna take a screenshot of this. Okay, I'm going to take a screenshot of that and I'm going to send you an email. And I need you to confirm that this is you and not someone who hacked your account, baby boo. Okay. So I just took a screenshot of your comments. Okay. And I'm going to send you an email. Okay. And I'm going to ask you if that's really you. Okay. Or if it's not. Or if someone's hacked into your account. I'm going to ask you. Okay. So could be another stalker, somebody who jacked another listener. Again, I've been in communication with one listener and they've reposted several times screenshots about people who had hacked into their YouTube account and were perpetrating themselves as them. Okay? But it wasn't. Stole their image on their page, etc. But it wasn't them. Okay? So hello, Yaya. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are just taking questions, okay? And not questions about when do I get my inheritance. That's not for me to know. That's for you to realize and you to become your highest, purest, truest self and then have some patience, okay? That's what that is for. But if you would like to know how do I become healthier, how can I cleanse this out, how can I cleanse that out, how do I, that sort of thing, okay? Then that's what I'm here for. If you have questions about my journey, how did I get through Dark Night of the Soul? How did I get through ego deaths? How did I get through my Job experience? You know, you can ask those types of questions. I know the spirit of Baby Boo, so just so you know, I've had several private conversations. Okay, we'll see. We'll see. Again, I'll be sending her an email, so you can say it's you all you want to. Okay. Yes. Um, I'll add to Christine's question first. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Just making sure. Okay. Just making sure, baby boo. Thank you. Okay. Just making sure. Okay. Um, I was wondering, you kept saying this is witch talk. I just kept wondering why you were saying that. That seems kind of odd to me. Okay. You're welcome. So I'll answer Christine's first question first, and then yes. So growing up, the warlock that I grew up with and the woman, okay, the witch that I grew up with, they were heavily into religion. So Judy went to a Pentecostal church and Church of God in Christ when I was physically a small child, and she went to those churches for years. Okay, and then Kevin, his entire family, as far as the males on his side of the family are concerned. Um, okay, thank you, baby boo. Okay, peace and comfort to you. Okay, and Kevin, okay, and all of his brothers are religious ministers or were, okay, if they're still here, okay, all of them, okay, and there's five brothers. Confirmation burp. There's five brothers, and all of them are religious ministers, okay, and yeah, every last one of them. Their father was a religious minister, okay, and so very much grew up under religion, going to revivals, church 5, 6, 7 days a week. On Sundays we didn't leave the church. In a lot of cases we stayed at the church. I watched Judy give to the church, okay, when we barely had food on the table. Okay, when we were going to get government cheese, she was still giving the church money and giving people at the church money. Okay, not just the minister, not just the offering, but yeah. hmm People would come to her and ask her for money, and she would give them money. So she would take she would take food off our plates, okay, and clothes off of our backs in that way. So we needed the food, okay, but she would give the money to someone else, okay. So yeah, very, very religious. And then when I was exiting the military in the 7th year of my military career, Most High showed me where I was to go next, and that was the Rock of Central Florida. They do have a YouTube channel, the Rock of Central Florida, and I was sent to that organization to be joined to a spiritual soulmate whose name is Steve Parker. Okay, so Stephen Lee Parker, and my synchronicities as far as our birth times and all of that are started from the beginning in 1964 in his case, and in 1974 in my case. And so we are 3 days but 10 years apart. Okay, so 3 days and 10 years apart. 10-103, that is a 13-103, 10 years and 3 days. Okay, he was born on the 330th day of the year. I was birthed on the 333rd day of the year. He's 1126. I'm 1129. Okay, and but yeah, he denounced angels. Okay, he did not believe in numerology. He did not believe in anything beyond the Bible. Okay, he just stuck to Genesis to Revelation, and we had the year that I started dialysis, and Divine later showed me that I was that I was the physical incarnation or embodiment of that religious organization, and everything that they went through physically, I went through spiritually, and in some cases physically. So in 2013, that church or religious organization experienced a mass exodus. There were 3 or 4 ministers who took half the congregation and started another religious organization in the same city in 2013. Okay. So what happened in 2013, me being the physical embodiment of that religious organization, is I started dialysis that same year. So in the same year, in the year of 2013, when the Rock of Central Florida had a split, okay, that's an infection, okay, that's a virus, okay, a split and separation, okay? Because divine source was clearing out that virus, okay, of those ministers, okay? When divine did that, I started dialysis that same year, okay? And the individual who was the head of that, his wife's name is Denise, okay, and his name is Tom or Thomas, okay. He Steve ended up inviting them back into the Rock of Central Florida after after this individual took half the congregation and almost caused the Rock of Central Florida to close, okay, to shut its doors for financial reasons. And in 2021. And when Steve did that, I knew that it was going to be time for me to leave, because when I started dialysis as a physical demonstration of what the Rock of Central Florida was going through in 2013, and them needing a new blood filter spiritually, okay, them needing to be filtered spiritually, the blood, the spirit, the energy, the Christos in that place needing to be filtered a different way. And I believe that was supposed to be a transition from religion to spirituality. But Steve didn't want that. And so Steve ended up inviting Tom and those people who denounced him, talked bad about him, threatened his daughters, threatened his sons. Those individuals who did that, Steve ended up inviting them back into the church. And I knew at that point in time that it was divine was going to be taking me out of there, because that would be the equivalent of me inviting, from a scientific standpoint, the autoimmune virus that attacked my kidneys. That would be the same as me inviting that autoimmune virus back into this body to attack the kidneys again. That would be the same thing. That would be the same thing. And so I knew that I would never invite IgG4 nephropathy back into the physical body to put me back on dialysis, okay, and go through acute and chronic kidney failure again. I knew that I would never do that. But Steve invited the virus back in, and that is where they are today. If I don't know where they are today. But again, yeah. So again, divine source showed me that I was the physical embodiment of that place. And I started physically going there in 2003 when I exited the military in February. Ooh, we're coming up on my first service there was the first Sunday of March, okay, that year, okay? Olivia, don't be sorry. I'm a badass motherfucker. Don't be sorry. I'm a badass motherfucker, okay? Don't be sorry, okay? They learn their lessons and they'll continue to learn their lessons. Don't be sorry, okay? Someone who says they're sorry, okay? Don't pay attention to them, okay? You know who you are. You know who you're created to be, okay? Don't be sorry for your journey, okay? Don't be sorry for your journey, okay? Be grateful. Be thankful. I'm glad I was the physical embodiment of the Rock of Central Florida, because I left them with something that they'll never receive from anyone else. The dreams, okay, that I shared with them, the conversations that I shared with them, okay, they'll never have another. They'll never have another. Earth Angel, Ascended Master, Master Builder 33, they'll never have another. So I'm thankful that I went through that process, because they got to see a demonstration of divine source, okay? Even in the religious system, they got to see a demonstration of divine source. I was there when I received that kidney transplant on 7/7/17. I was there. Okay? So I'm not sorry. Okay? And don't be for me. Okay? Because that goes nowhere. Okay? So, all right. Excellent question, Christine. Okay? Yeah, there are many of them. Right? There are definitely repeated names in my journey. Definitely repeated names in my journey. Okay. Marie. Okay. Marie. Okay. Marie, Denise, Yolanda. These are repeated names in my journey. Okay. Kevin. Okay. Time and time again. Scott's. Time and time again. Okay. Time and time again. All right. Let me get to the next question. Someone else had a question after Christine. Oh, so Sean asked, when did, oh yeah, you're welcome, Karina, and good to see you. Okay. We are warriors. Okay. Um, when did my spiritual journey begin? My conscious spiritual journey. And thank you for the question, Sean. So my spiritual conscious journey began um, in 2021. I started meditating. Before that, um, before that, again, some key things about me that I've carried all my life is unconditional love, okay, and healing, okay. I've healed this body of many things. Umbilical cord wrapped around the neck and left arm at birth, okay. Healed myself of that situation. Seizures up until the age of 8, healed myself of those at the age of 8, and I haven't had another one. And I served 8 years in the United States Army. Um, uh, Healed myself and avoided arthroscopic knee surgery while I was in the military. And then, of course, we have dialysis. Okay. So, what began my spiritual journey, conscious spiritual journey, is when I started dating a Scorpio. Hello, Sassafras. Okay. I started dating a Scorpio in 2019. And when I started dating this Scorpio, originally it started out, we were working together. I met her a year prior. I was helping her and her best friend, a mutual friend of ours who was also a part of the Rock of Central Florida, help them set up a business. I was a tax accountant at that time. And they were wanting to set up this, what was it? Bookkeeping or tax something, preparation, individual taxes. Okay, was what they did. They didn't do business taxes, but they did individual taxes or something like that. And she wanted me to help them set this organization up. So I met with them, and that is how I met the Scorpio. And about a year later, we got back in touch with each other, and that's kind of how the relationship started. And so I gave up my townhouse that I was staying in, and I moved in with her. And 2 months after I moved in with her, I got shingles. And because of her poisoning me or the spiritual sicknesses that were going around that house, that place, them, whatever. And shortly after we moved in with each other, okay, she started moving her family in from Texas, or her family members started moving in from Texas over the next 12 months. So her mother moved into the same city from Texas where we were in Florida. Okay. Her sister and brother in law and their daughters. Okay. And her brother. Okay. And all of them started moving in to Central Florida. Okay. Around the same city that we were in. I didn't realize that at the time, but they were trying to karmically trap me. Okay. And once I began to meditate, we actually for a minute was sleeping in separate bedrooms. It got to that point, okay, where we were sleeping in separate bedrooms. Okay. I did not know this, but she was still sexually or whatever connected to uh, her whatever husband, what I don't even know what to call him. Okay. And so I thought this individual, I proposed to her. She said yes. Little did I know that she was still married. Okay. She was still married or committed to someone else. I think they in North Carolina or something. Okay. Still committed to this individual. And as I began to meditate, divine source started to remind me of some things. And again, I was still living with her at this time. Okay. And she had a daughter who was still living with her. She also had a son who was in Texas, who was engaged to be married, and he also came to Florida. So it was like an influx of her family members coming to Florida, and I thought that was rather strange, and so when I began to meditate, divine source began to reveal some things to me. And again, we even for a time before I moved out, we began to sleep in separate bedrooms. And I remember some things that she would say. And divine source began to show me how she is not who I thought she was, and how she was a karmic lover, okay, and someone who was still attached to others. And in fact, she preferred the same sex. Okay. She did not prefer, okay, to be with a man. She preferred to be with a woman. And again, divine source showed this to me. Okay. And so once I realized this, okay, she still had a picture of her best friend who introduced us to one another, and her supposed ex-husband still hanging in her house. Okay. She wouldn't get rid of that picture. She would not get rid of that picture. Okay. And so when I moved out, okay, at some point in time, she started doing witchcraft on me, she already was, but she had also fallen in love with me. And this was her dilemma. Okay. This was her dilemma. So she had fallen in love with an earth angel. Okay. And yet she had karmic ties to whatever witchcraft or whatever cult, whatever she was involved in. Okay. For how many ever years, moving her family in to karmically block me in and stalk me and all it. So she was in some type of situation where she was falling in love with me, but she couldn't leave. She didn't want to leave. She didn't want to do the spiritual work. She didn't want to ascend. She didn't want to. I remember telling her about her daughter. Oh, yeah, it was a karmic shit show. So I remember telling her about her daughter, again, who still is a minor, okay? When I met her, her daughter was 9. Okay. And every year we'd have a birthday party for her daughter. Okay. And her husband, or whatever he was, okay, would come over there. He would be a part of the parties. We would go to her basketball games. He would go to the basketball games, and that sort of thing, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with dual parenting and the mother and father showing support for their child at the same event. There's nothing wrong with that. But I began to see some things. So the basketball coach, okay, that coached her daughter was a lesbian, okay, and her girlfriend would come to the basketball games. And I began to see how this Scorpio, okay, had the majority of her relationships, okay, were homosexual relationships. Okay, males and females. The majority of her relationships, she lived with a gentleman before I moved in with her. She lived with a gentleman whose name is Joshua. Okay, and Joshua, okay, is a homosexual, and ironically, his boyfriend's name is Kevin. When I say that there are repeated names over and over again, okay, so the warlock's name is Kevin, and she was rooming with a homosexual man whose boyfriend's name is Kevin. Okay. So he was 30 years old or something like that. And when I moved in with her, I told her, why the hell is a 30-year-old, okay, still sucking on your titty? Okay, he needs to get out and he needs to get his own place. At 30 years old, he's not handicapped. Okay, he doesn't need any help physically. Okay, he needs to get his ass out and get his own place. And that's what he did. Okay, he got out because she said, it's time for you to go. She wasn't going to do that on her own. He got out and him and his boyfriend got a house. Okay. And so when I began to meditate in 2021, that's when the lights really began to come on. That's when I really began to see who I was and what I had given out for, I don't know, at that time, 45, 46 years, however old I was at that time, how I was giving things out for so many years blindly, meaning my unconditional love, my care. And again, that's not because I got everything right. I went through a time period of a year and a half where I was on a sabbatical from Most High because I was frustrated and angry, okay, like many of you have gone through. And I was like, you know what? I can do bad all by myself, and I walked away from the journey and Divine Source whooped my ass. Okay. During that year and a half, I got a DUI and I lost a job because I needed my license for the occupation. So I lost my job during that year and a half and I got a DUI. Okay. So in 2000, not sure what you're talking about, Karina. Okay. So in 2007, I recommitted myself to Most High. Okay. And my journey, confirmation horn honks. Okay. So I recommitted myself in 2007 to Most High and I never looked back. And again, that's before I met the Scorpio. That's before my second marriage. That's before dialysis. I had not gone through any of that yet. I had not realized that I was a physical incarnation of the Rock of Central Florida or a physical demonstration of what I had not realized none of that. I had not realized any of that. Okay. But when I rededicated myself in 2007, I never looked back and I never will. And again, for those who say, oh my God, I'm so sorry you went through that, they don't know who I am. Okay. They don't know who I am. Okay. They don't know. Okay. So I'm not sure what you mean, Karina, okay, by welcome. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Okay. Don't get your ass kicked out of this live. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Okay. Let me see if there was another question. Thank you, Sean. Sean, that's a great question. So I had to break that karmic soul tie to that karmic twin flame. Again, we were engaged to be married, and the closer we got to the wedding date, okay. Yes, that's what my life is. It's a demonstration. Okay. And so the closer we got to the wedding date, that Scorpio and I, the worse and worse things got. Okay. To the point to where I realized, get your ass off my channel, Karina. So the closer and closer we got to that wedding date in 2021, the worse and worse things got, and I realized that that was never going to work. It was never meant to work. That was a twin flame that I had interaction with in a previous lifetime. Okay, and in that previous lifetime, they murdered me or murdered my divine partner at some point in time. Same thing with the warlock. Same thing with Judy. Okay, and they came back, followed me back this lifetime around to try to do the same thing. What they needed to do, what they needed to do was they needed to take me out before my 48th birthday or the end of my 48th year on this planet. They needed to take me out before the end of my 48th year. They could not allow me or did not want me to reach the 50th year, which is the second Jubilee. Okay. A Jubilee is every 25 years. They had to stop me before I reached my second Jubilee. the year of 50. That was their goal. Okay. But they didn't, obviously. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. Um, one of the strongest ties to that Scorpio, okay, was the sacral energy. Okay, that was one of the strongest ties. Again, you're talking about someone who is a closet lesbian, okay, and a religious individual. Okay, so she did not want her family to know that she was a lesbian. She did not, or preferred women. She did not want the churches to know that she was a lesbian. Okay, before she came to the Rock of Central Florida, she was with someone whose name is Robert Mitchell. Okay, at another religious organization. And Robert Mitchell is a child molester. Robert Mitchell molested her children and she never reported it. Listen to me. Listen to me. Robert Mitchell, the minister of the church she went to prior to coming to the Rock of Central Florida, where I was for 20 years, okay, molested her children and she never reported him. Never reported him. Yeah, yeah. Never, never. Okay. He is a child predator. Okay. He is a child predator in Central Florida and a minister, just like Kevin, and a minister, just like Kevin. She never reported him. Okay. In fact, the story that she told me is her eldest son, who I mentioned was in the Navy and ended up moving back to Central Florida when her and I started dating. Okay. And moved into the house with her and I. Okay. He went into the military to get away from that situation. Okay. He was messed up emotionally and mentally from that situation. Okay. In fact, he had to spend time at a military hospital after he got out of the military, from what I understand. He had to be recommitted to a military hospital in Orlando, Florida. Okay. Because of the mental illnesses. Okay. And damage caused by the raping that minister did of him. Okay. Yeah. 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 Okay. That's the situation I walked into blindly. Okay. Not knowing. Okay. But yeah. And I was there to heal that situation. But you can't heal them all. Sometimes you have to just walk away. Okay. You can't heal them all. Sometimes you have to just walk away. Because not everyone embraces the healing, obviously. Okay. Not everyone embraces the healing. I don't believe so. Sean, I don't believe so. Okay. Kevin is. Okay. But I don't believe, no, I don't believe Robert is. No. Mm-mm. He's probably in hiding, perhaps. Okay. But no. One of the other interesting things that I found out about Robert, Divine Source showed me, okay, is that the church building, okay, that they owned at some point in time, his ministry owned, okay, he was trying to sell it at some point in time in 2021. Again, 2021 was crazy spiritually. Okay, not that any other year isn't, but 2021 for my journey was kind of wild. And so, a lot of wild. And so, Robert Mitchell ended up setting this building on fire to get insurance money, okay, like 2 weeks before he was supposed to sell it to this individual or turn over the keys to someone else. He set it on fire for insurance money. True story, investigators. True story. So, insurance fraud. hmm He set it on fire himself for the insurance money. But no, to my knowledge, yeah, several times. Shaking my head several times. But again, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, okay? But against the principalities of darkness of this world that come to steal, kill, and destroy all forms of light. that comes to steal, kill, and destroy all forms of light. So, yeah, what I speak here, that's why I say I have proof for everything that I say. Everything that I say. If I say Robert Mitchell burned down a building in Deltona, Florida, you can go and find out and look up church burning Deltona, Florida, and you can find that news article, news report, or what have you. Okay, everything that I say I was born on the 333rd day. I say that I am extraterrestrial. I have picture. Everything that I say for my journey is the truth. Everything that I say, as wild, as crazy as it might seem, everything that I say is. All right. So, yeah. Any other questions? Any other? Christine, damn, yeah. Yeah, but again, it all serves a purpose. Okay, I'm just glad I was able to walk away when I was able to walk away. You know, I'm glad I was strong enough to give everything that I owned away, to close down my tax practice and walk away. I'm glad that I was able to. I'm glad I was strong enough to. I'm glad. Because if I wasn't, I would be another spiritual casualty. Again, this lifetime, just like in the previous lifetime. Okay? I'm glad that I was able to walk away. Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, you're welcome, Sean. And again, great questions. Great questions. Okay? Any other questions? Your energy. How do you ascend? How do you become your highest, purest, truest self? How do you break karmic ties to karmic twin flames? Those you were engaged with that you thought were your partner, religious ties. My mama went to that church. That's why I go to that church. My daddy believed this. That's why I believe it, to break those things. Hello. Thank you for tuning in. Again, I didn't feel like we were going to be pulling energy this reading, okay? I felt like Divine just wanted me to sit here and talk to you and answer your questions about you, about me, about the journey, okay? Oh, yeah, yeah. Again, we're all still learning, Sean. Kimberly Cooper, where do you live? Again, that's a name that shows up a lot, Kimberly, okay? Kimberly. So the karmic wife that left me for the warlock who was a polygamist, okay? That's another part of my story. So I got married in 1996 to a childhood sweetheart, okay? In 1998, when I got assigned to Germany, okay? When I got assigned to Germany, are you related to Brenda, Keith, Leonard, Cornelius, Faye, Kimberly Cooper? Are you related to any of them? Keith, Patrick, are you related to any of these individuals? Kimberly Cooper? Um, when I came down on orders in 1998 to go to Germany, the first woman that I was married to, little did I know that she had been reeled in, reeled in by the warlock, okay, who was a polygamist and again a minister. And so she wrote me a letter in 1998 and told me that she was not coming to Germany, and we had a daughter together. Okay, the daughter was 2 at that time, and actually she was not even 2 because her birthday is in December. Little did I know, okay, that he had taken her, okay, and she had become one of his women, this polygamist warlock who I grew up thinking was my father. Oh, okay. And so, yeah. So my first wife left me for the man who I grew up believing was my father, but as it turns out, he's not. Okay. But she ended up leaving me for him in 1998. Okay, again, another karmic part of another part of the journey. All right, that I had to heal from. I had to awaken to the truth about. Okay, another part of the journey. And so, yeah, yeah, hmm, yeah. True story, Sean. True story. True story. Yep. And in fact, her eldest brother, whose also name is Keith. Okay. And the reason why I told you that story is because our daughter's name is Kimberly. That's why I told you that story. Okay. So there's a Kimberly daughter. Okay. There's a Kimberly Stephen Lee Parker at the Rock of Central Florida. His wife's name is Kimberly. Okay. The soulmate that reverted, or the spiritual soulmate. Okay. Again, you can have soulmates that are same sex and you be heterosexual. Okay. Often call these best friends. Okay. You often say, I feel like I've known you my entire life, that type of frequency. Okay. So Steve and I were supposed to be spiritual soulmates on this journey. Again, him born on the 330th day of the year, me born on the 333rd day of the year. Okay. But as it turns out, that's a 103, 10 years and 3 days. And he turned out to be a karmic Scorpio energy, even though he's a Sagittarius sun sign. Okay. He turned out to be death. Okay. And so, uh, you know me, Kimberly? You know me? Okay. If you say so. And so, yeah. But yeah. And then Steve and Kim at the Rock of Central Florida has a daughter, has a niece whose name is Kimberly. Okay. So again, repeated names constantly throughout my journey. Repeated names constantly throughout my journey. Constantly. So, yeah. All right. Okay. Just to let you know, Kimberly. Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you for clarifying. All right. So again, for those of you who are tuning in, I'm just listening to you. Okay. Taking your questions. Again, those questions could be about my journey. Those questions could be about your journey. Um, but as far as your journey are concerned, spiritual questions only, not questions pertaining to earth. Okay. Meaning, where's my mama? Where's my daddy? Where's my son? Will I get my daughter back? Okay. Not those questions, because those questions are determined by other things. Okay. Oh, let me see, Christine. Okay, you ask questions. You be sneaking your questions in, Christine. You sneak your questions in. You sneak your questions in, Christine. Let me see. I see a couple of wows. I see a dam. Uh, I remember you calling the name Denise a couple of lives ago. Okay, I see that. Oh, the other question is, did you grow up in an organized religion? Oh, I answered that question, Christine. I answered that question. I think I answered all. I don't see. Hmm, I don't see any other questions, Christine. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. There's no. I didn't. Mm-mm, no, I didn't see. And I looked. Okay, I looked after Did you grow up in organized religion? I did not see another question, Christine. I apologize. Okay, but I did not. So I guess you snuck that one in there. And I don't know. It didn't come through. Is there? I don't know. I didn't see it. Again, I looked. Okay. Any other questions? I hope everyone's doing well. Okay. Wherever you are on your journey, physically and spiritually, wherever you are. Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Also, another name I mentioned, Mary, okay, and Marie. Those names are extremely significant and repeat throughout my lifetime, this lifetime. Mary and Marie, okay? Those names are repetitive, all right? See, I can't tell you about your family issues. I can't tell you about those aren't the types of questions that I'm taking, okay? I'm taking questions about how do I break karmic ties? How do I do cord cutting? Okay. How do I release myself from karmic lovers? Those types of questions. Okay. You asking me about your Freemason family, okay, and issues about them, again, I can't tell you about your family issues. That's not for me to know. It's your job to know about your own family. Okay. So if you've done that, then why are you on here asking me about your family then? So if you've done the spiritual work and your ancestors and Most High has answered your questions about your family, why are you on here asking me about your family, Kimberly? Why are you on here asking me about your family? Do you not trust what Most High has told you? Do you doubt your ancestors? Do you doubt the angels and guardians that are sent to you to tell you the truth? Do you doubt your intuition? Why are you on here asking me a question that Most High has already answered for you? Why are you asking me that question then, Kimberly? Where is your faith? Hmm? Where is your faith? Okay. Trust what they said. It's not my job to know your Akashic records. Okay. That's not my job. Okay. And it's no oracle's job to know your Akashic records. No oracle. No one. Those Akashic records are for you and Most High. Okay. It's no one else's job to know your journey. No one's. Okay. I don't go around asking people about my journey, and I never have actually. Okay. And that's the truth about me. I've never, even when I did listen to oracles, tarot readers, whatever, I never once asked them about my journey on a live, in a chat, through an email. I have never done that because I have all the confidence in the world of what I hear, what I see through dreams, what I see through my third eye being the absolute, even if that's not what's shown through the 3D. Okay? I have absolute confidence in what I hear, what I see spiritually. Absolute confidence. So I've never once had to ask somebody. I see you didn't ask your question again, Christine. Okay. Are you getting it together? Or is there someone else who has another question? Okay. Perhaps we'll get ready to tie things up here. Again, thank you so much, everyone who's asked questions. You've asked some great questions. Sean, you've asked some great questions. Okay. Christine, you've asked some great questions. Christina, stop fucking around with me. Okay. You did not ask another question. Okay. The last thing on here is I can ask again. Okay. I can ask again was your last statement. Stop fucking with me, okay? Don't become another karmic ass bitch that I have to block on this fucking channel, Christine. Okay? Don't become another karmic ass bitch that I have to block on this channel, Christine. Okay? You did not ask another question again, you stupid ass. Okay? I'm not dumb. You are. Okay? I'm not dumb. You are. Yeah. Fuck you. Okay? Fuck you. Okay? Okay. Whatever. Fuck you. Okay? Fuck you. Spirit is not hiding shit. You a dumbass. Okay? You understand me? You a dumbass. And after this live, I'm blocking your stupid ass from seeing anything else on this channel. Fuck you, Christine. Okay? And I retrieve any and everything that I've ever said about you high vibrationally. All the love that I've extended to you through these lives, okay? I retrieve all of that back. All of my unconditional love, I retrieve from you, Christine. Get your karmic ass off my fucking channel. Fucking liar. Just another karmic ass liar. Fuck you. I hope you enjoy the rest of this live, Christina, okay? Because it's the last one. I guarantee you that. It's the last one. Nope. Fuck you. I ain't doing shit, okay? Because I know what I can see over here. Okay, I'm looking right at the screen. I know what I can see, okay? It doesn't matter, okay? It doesn't matter. Okay, what's done is done. What's done is done, okay? Anyone else has any other questions other than Christine? Anyone else? Any other questions? It is 9:26 in the morning here in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. Or excuse me, I said 9:26, 7:26. Something about September 26th. I said 9:26. I said 9:26. Okay? So something about September 26th, but it is 7:26. 7:26 in the morning here in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. Yeah, you do that and send me an email. Yeah, do that and send me an email. Do it and send me an email. I'm telling you, collective, karmics show up all of the time and eventually they are revealed. Okay? If you just sit back, watch, and listen, eventually, the roaches will come out, even with the light on. Eventually, the roaches will come out, even with the light on. You sit there long enough, you stay patient, you stay faithful, eventually, divine source will expose the roaches to you. And when your ancestors and Most High expose the roaches to you, okay, don't be like Kimberly and doubt what you're seeing and doubt what you're hearing, okay? Don't be like that, okay? Be faithful and committed to what you see and what you hear from divine source. I said be faithful and committed to what you hear and see from divine source. Be faithful and be committed. All right. So if there are no other questions, again, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Again, I appreciate all of your questions. Yeah, I wish you well on your journey, okay? And all that you are meant to do, all that you're meant to accomplish here. Again, my journey is for a demonstration. My journey is for a demonstration, okay? And yeah, I hope it is an encouragement to you to let you know, okay, that you can overcome anything. You can overcome a parent or some other person taking your spouse, okay, your wife or husband. You can overcome a karmic twin flame, okay, and you can rise above that. You can overcome a karmic mother energy, okay, who did witchcraft on you since you were a child and also murdered other children of hers through witchcraft. You can overcome religiousness, okay? You can overcome fallen soulmates, males or females, that you were supposed to be in alignment with. These are best friends, former best friends, okay? What have for siblings? You can overcome the ones who choose not to rise, okay? You can overcome these energies, okay? I hope that my life is an encouragement. My journey is a demonstration. My name is Nehru. I am an extraterrestrial earth angel. Born on the 333rd day of the year, I am an Egyptian shamanic bloodline and direct descendant of Yeshua. That is Issa. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. And as always, be encouraged.